Production of The Street Speaks has been made possible by the support and caffeine provided by Cafe dei Mercanti, NDG's authentic Italian espresso bar, 2 locations, 6132 Monkland and 350 Notre Dame East in Old Montreal. My name is Paul Shore, and you're watching the final edition of Season 2 of The Street Speaks, a spontaneous speaker's corner for Montrealers. This week, some Montrealers are sharing with me why they're hesitant to engage in our politics. Others are reflecting on what the word work means to them, and how they're struggling to find balance in their lives. And some are speaking up about aging and dying, 2 realities we don't talk enough about in our culture. Also ahead, our house band, the Brothers Carniello, Skinny Bros returns with special guests, and performers Michael Hughes and Johanna Nutter both return to the Street Speaks soapbox.
I think that it's like tempting to feel guilty that you're not like exhausting yourself to make money or to prove something, like, because that's like it's like the cultural psyche. It's like the shared idea of like how it should be.
I mean, first and foremost, we're not very business friendly. I went to see a government official. They can't help you if you're a young entrepreneur. They discourage you.
Yeah, I'm a businesswoman. It's not easy for the woman to go for the business, because the government no help. He need just take the tax.
I want to see more government aid. You know, we're taking all the risk. I'm taking all the risk. Why can't I get a tax credit? Why can't I get, you know, a certain benefit? I mean, I'm going to be creating jobs. It's nice to take the risk. I'd like to see some reward.
Yeah. I think it's a government help the small business. It coming better, because the government help the big business. Big business no need the money for the government. The big enterprise, he have the money. He have the money. He no need again the money for government. But for me, I no have. I need to change the life for me, for my kids, for my husband. But I no have the help.
But I think how it actually should be is like, people should have vacation. This is part of self-care, and it's so vital to like how well we can be in the world and how well we can treat other people and like how well we can formulate ideas that help everyone. Like, we need to rest.
I no need to close this one, because if I close, I go for assistance social. I no need to go for assistance social because it's cheap for me. Yeah, I'm strong. I have intelligence. I work too much. I work every day.
I feel like even our breaks and even our vacations are a part of the work. So like, and I've also have been working all summer and like going to school all school year to work for something bigger than that. So like, it's all one thing. I think that states, or like the typical reality of like the overworked American, is that we forget that like our breaks and like our getting enough sleep and our eating well and pausing and being with our families will benefit our work. And this is just true. It's not like we need to choose one or the other or overindulge in one or the other.
I'm so happy to welcome back to the final show of the season our house band in Elaine, Skinny Bros, and their posse of very musical friends.
Say goodbye to the twilight as we drive away from here. Good thing no one saw me take that left turn. I just wanna disappear. When I come to live my final life, will I reach the golden
is our right to vote. Like, it's our way to say or give our opinion to people.
Are you a political person? Are you interested in politics?
No. So if we can make a change, why not? But it's just like these days, I am not really like aware of whatever is going on.
I bet you heard of Donald Trump.
Yes.
Why not?
Because I don't want problem. I don't want to think about the politics. I don't want problem.
Growing up, we aren't involved enough in politics at the local level. So I honestly feel a bit disenfranchised by our political system.
Like a lot of people, they ask me about like politics and stuff, and I'm not really following that.
And that's not necessarily our political system's fault. It might be my fault for not, engaging enough with it. Also, I guess it's a question of priorities.
I like to put my energy in somewhere else and then in politics.
Yeah.
It would be great if it could be more natural to get involved in local politics.
For me, I have other stuff to think about and to work on, so
Okay.
I think I'm just too busy to think about politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Political, I'm not an activist, but I certainly keep informed. Yeah, I consider myself a political person.
I'm guessing you vote.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a right and you should exercise your right.
To tell you the truth, from what I've understood of the world at this stage in my life, I think that Quebec and Canada has gone very far in the right direction in that field, and we're a lot better than other countries.
If you look around the world and see countries that don't have the right to vote, you start to realize how important it is and how important your vote can be.
Yeah, we have a lot of ways to go to remove my frustrations completely, but we're doing pretty well when it comes to the international front.
Okay. We've been taught fear. We need that mayor to help us with these problems, and we need that politician. And in fact, no, we need each other. We need to trust each other, and there's no one who's going to be able to solve our problems for us.
Transparency is a big thing, and I think in politics, things are not necessarily always transparent. But that being said, we can always get better, and every country can always get better. And
they're just going to harness our resources, our manpower, our creativity, our money, and then try to do it with the cost of bureaucracy and all their personal failures. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your community. Have faith in each other.
I'm so happy to welcome to the Street Speak Soapbox Montreal actress and writer Johanna Nutter.
Listen, lady, I don't know how much you paid for that thing. You'll have to bring me up to speed on the going rate for tanks, but I think it's safe to say, dollar for dollar, my body is worth more than your SUV. I mean, just the meals alone, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, amortized over 4 decades, we're looking at close to 300 grand. But I don't want to give you an economics lesson. I don't even know what amortized means. I want to teach you about physics. Now, we could Wikipedia Newton's first law of motion together, but I think I'll just tell you how I learned it the hard way. When I was 16, I got a summer job out in Victoria driving horse-drawn carriages. Not the quaint calèches we have or used to have in old Montreal, but big honking wagons that sat 21 people and were pulled by 2 giant Belgians. And I had a little microphone and good morning, folks. Welcome to Tally-Ho Tours. My name is Johanna and I'll be your guide and driver for the next hour. The massive stone buildings we're going by on the right are BC's legislature. They were built by Sir Francis Rattenbury in 1897. The east, west, and south wings were added on in 1915 for an hour, 8 times a day. It got so I could have done the tour with my eyes closed. Well, this one day, I was coming back to the stand with a full load of Japanese tourists, and I was going on about the oxidization on the copper roofs, and there was this big American boat of a cart parked this far away from the curb. And normally, I could make it between the line of parked cars and the turning lane, no problem. But on this day, the horses made it by, but the corner of the wagon hit the back of this little old lady's car and just crunched it. Like a what? Like a can of Perrier. And that's how I learned that even if you're only going 2 miles an hour, The greater your mass, the greater its capacity to resist inertia, and the more total the damage to the object it comes into contact with can be. So, lady, that's why my reaction to your backing your tank of an SUV into the parking space I was standing in, however slowly, was completely justified. Because of physics.
Islam to me is a way of life, you know, how we are going to go through this world from birth to death, following a certain code of conduct and code of discipline, code of friendships, code of love, how Islam guides us in day-to-day living.
So there might be some anti-Semitism that's more directed at the Jews that don't fit in, the ones that look different, and it's very much a culture clash.
What would you say to people who are a little ignorant about Islam and are very reactionary to the media?
Well, it's education. Education is a multi-dimensional thing, really. Education is knowing about the other person. Education is how to live in this world.
When you start to talk to a Hasidic guy, you have a different picture. Because when you see him outside, you hear about TV, you see in the newspaper, and probably every small story, they're making a big issue of everything that's happening. So we'll make a big story. So if you don't know the community or you don't know a Hasidic person, but once you're getting to start there to see, it's a different picture.
Muslims themselves have to blame for that they have not really taught the people who they are, and unfortunately whatever you see today is the dirty aspect. People would generally then categorize that Islam is like that, which is not the case. Islam, people who are doing these things, they're very few, very, very few.
Okay, one, people mistake, they don't understand that these people are born into it, and not everybody's going to be perfect. This community like any other. You're expecting perfection because they present themselves as people of God. No, not you, but I'm saying people expect that perfection. There's also another side of, do people really expect that from other communities? Do you expect your neighbor to be like all jolly? Or maybe again, because they present themselves as people of God, people expect them, you know, another level of friendliness and people to be pious. And but pious can mean different things.
But in a certain way, we're not closed-minded. A lot of people say the Hasidic people are closed-minded. We're not closed-minded. You don't want to have everything 2016 in your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to keep distance, but not distance. You have different values, different family values, other stuff in life. What's important?
I always, every day, I learn something, and I hope that I keep on learning things, because it's a joy of knowing something different, knowing something more, and then, of course, sharing these things with each other.
We all die, we don't talk about it though.
The deeper the hurt, the bigger the love. So for me, when my dad was actually dying, he developed Alzheimer's. It was difficult because as he was alive, I was actually mourning for my dad.
I was 9 when she passed away.
How old was she?
11.
So she was your older sister.
She's my older sister. Her name was Jillian Black. When she was dying, and the Wish Foundation came to her, and I was too young to understand what was happening, and my sister wished for a bunch of amazing things. I will never forget to this day that she included a Game Gear for her little brother. Like, she was always thinking of me.
That close to my family, yes, that was the first person I lost.
And you had a nice relationship with
I
your
had
dad?
an unbelievable relationship with my dad. My dad was extremely close. I was extremely close with my dad.
I miss her every single day to this day in my life, even at 32 years old. You know, it's sort of weird because I'm remembering being 9 years old. When I think about her, I have no idea who she would be as an adult at this point in time.
I didn't realize it at the time. I was depressed, and I didn't understand why I was depressed. And it's only when I started getting, started speaking to a psychiatrist, so I thought I needed some help, that they pointed out to me that I was actually mourning the man that I actually knew.
But an immediate family member is a tragic loss that makes you seriously see everything very differently. I don't know what I learned immediately from the experience, except for the fact that life is going to really, really suck sometimes. And at 9 years old, your life can't end.
My dad stuck around for me in order to have closure. He allowed me to say my thank yous, my sorries for all the years that he provided for me, all the stuff.
We stopped living. We broke down as a family when we lost my sister. I remember after 3 months of staying at home, I asked my mom, like, do I have to go back to school? My mom just went, do what you want. My family, I don't think ever recovered from that, truthfully, but I decided to go back to school that day, and then my mom and dad soon after followed.
During the time he was actually, during the time he was sick, I had closure with my dad, and I cherished every moment that I had. And when he actually passed away, I wasn't as hurt as I thought I'd be. I thought I'd be devastated, and I thought I'd be a mess. But actually, I feel closer to my dad now that he's not on this earth than the years that he was sick.
My dad went back to work, and my mom was the last one to kind of somewhat pick up the pieces. I know that it was definitely hardest for her. It was really hard for all of us, though. I feel like my dad took on a lot of the brunt of that pain and just didn't let the rest of us see it. And he doesn't know how much I appreciate him.
You don't tell him?
I'm going to. I'm going to go to the hospital and tell him that right now, actually.
Good. Good.
I still talk to my dad. I'm not going to say daily, but there's many times in a week that I find myself talking to my dad, and it's very, very uplifting. And I feel him more around me all the time, and it's, to me, I think it's a gift.
Everybody walks around with their phone in their hand, and they sit at a table across from each other, and each of them are doing something different. Is it, are we together? I don't know, but they do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You check your phone before or after the meditation?
My phone is off when I practice all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I check my phone in the morning before practicing, and then it's off.
Okay.
The way we're now interacting is such a dramatic change in what it actually means to communicate. That we're not even yet seizing completely the significance of it.
You have more connection in good ways and bad ways. It's easy to reach people, I think, and to find more stuff that sometimes where it's just a little bit harder to get.
You can use the technology to get them to understand more complex things, but also the technology can also work in the other direction. I don't have to know this because I can punch it in my computer and get the answer.
Like there's a lot of information at hand, and then you can misuse that information. Like example, if you Google something, of course you're gonna Google something that you're kind of biased already. You're searching the answer to support the information that you have.
Of course we can be idiots about the use of new technology, but what it affords us is the ability to have at our disposal immediately the sum total of human knowledge. It's amazing.
I think it's very important to have people connection, also real connection.
If you text someone, they could get it the wrong way. So there's the emojis and whatnot, but it can still, someone reading, you could be happy, but someone receiving your text on the other end of the line could be like, oh, is something wrong? So it's always like that.
A lot of confusion?
Yes, confusion.
Like when you chat online, sometimes it's hard like to, you need like to see the people sometimes to just understand what they want to say. Or
talk to them, meet them in person.
Nowadays, people don't even communicate on the phone in a sense where they don't even pick up and talk. It's all texting. I'm here, I'm there, oh, blow it off, I'm not coming to see you, or...
Especially if it's topics that that needs both opinion or like both say in the matter, so yes.
You know, there's what's wrong with picking up the phone and saying that I can't and explaining yourself instead of whatever that is. So that's what worries me in that aspect.
Please join me in welcoming back to the Street Speaks soapbox a Street Speaks veteran, actor-writer Michael Hughes.
Is owning a dog really appropriate preparation for becoming a parent? The age-old question. Okay, maybe not age-old, but a question. Short answer is no. A dog is not some sort of hairy baby. Okay, trust me, I've done the research. Now I know some of you will argue that both babies and dogs need to be fed and cleaned up after, and that babies and dogs need shelter and good amounts of TLC. And we can all agree that babies and dogs saturate our social media. But that being said, here are the differences, and there are many. Babies wear diapers, dogs don't. Unless, of course, you are publicly shaming the poor mutt. Babies shouldn't be left at home alone or put in a crate. That's just not a baby thing. Whereas dogs can be left at home alone, so they can chew and destroy your furniture. A child's learning is much more complex than a dog's, and should include more vocabulary than good dog, bad dog, and walk. Whereas dogs speak bark, and you shouldn't be spending too much time teaching them irregular verb endings. And at the end of the day, dogs don't need stories told to them or lullabies sung to them in order to lull them to sleep. So there you have it, the differences. Oh, and most importantly, dogs are fed dog food, and you should never, ever find yourself breastfeeding them. Never, okay? Just never. I had a friend who, and just never. All right, let's go. Come on.
I don't like the screen time thing, and I have a very difficult time justifying it. No, it definitely comes up, and yeah, my husband and I are very different on that.
Because it's like, they're gonna be grabbing, you know?
Yes, they're gonna want it because of peer pressure, because of everybody else has this and that. Honestly, I know what I'd like to is have some sort of a balance, and I think it stems from yourself.
Of course it helps, you know, us coming here and moving here. It's great that we can just throw on Netflix and the kids are occupied a little bit while we're making furniture or this.
I think if a parent is on the phone constantly, then the kid's gonna gravitate towards that. But if the parent actually spends the time, and then, you know, you can always use technology as a reward in some aspects.
I do know, like personally with my oldest son here, you know, I can see how it's like becoming a need, and you know, sometimes he wakes up in the morning and that's the first thing he wants to do.
And when we had to make a rule for our children, well, it was our grandchildren, but our children didn't have that. If you come to Granny and Grandad's house and we're having a meal, you do not use that. You put it away.
You know, so my husband and I don't always agree about how to set up the parameters, but they're very important.
I think monitoring it and balancing things out. Now, it's a lot of people are going to say it's a lot easier said than done. But I think if you actually show your kids and follow those same rules, then you have to give your kid a little bit more credit in some aspects.
And they'd put it away and their fingers would go, take a while to calm down, yeah.
Really?
No, I'm joking. But a little bit, you know, yeah, they're so used to it. But I hadn't made the rule not at the table in our house.
Okay.
Lead by example, first and foremost. And, try and monitor it as much as possible. Use it when it's beneficial, and then, not just always, I'm tired and what have you not, and here, take the phone to occupy my time. So, I mean, I find if you treat your kid as almost as an equal as possible, of course, given the ages, that you'll get a lot more out of it than we can give him credit for.
Yeah, it scares me a little bit, but I think, as a parent, you're scared of any of those things. When they're in your house, you kind of can control what happens and what they're exposed to. But, we're learning about it as we go.
Yeah. That wraps up the final edition of the Street Speaks. A very special thank you to all the Montrealers who shared their voices with me this past year. Also, a thank you to all the artists who graced our soapbox. Our house band Skinny Bros, the Brothers Carniello, and to my editor and co-conspirator on this project, T. Lance. Without them, none of this would have been made possible. Also, a big thank you to the team at MaTV who've given me the opportunity to give you the opportunity to express yourselves. If you want to get in touch with me, don't be shy. You know the drill. You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter. See you next time. My name is Paul Shore, and you are watching The Street Speaks. Again, production of The Street Speaks has been made possible by the support and caffeine provided by Cafe dei Mercanti, NDG's authentic Italian espresso bar. 2 locations, 6132 Monkland and 350 Notre Dame East in Old Montreal.